On this episode, we talk about our recent trip, which included the 2022 IAAPA Expo, a stay at Royal Pacific, a lot of food, and a day at Universal Orlando using Express Pass. Today is November 22nd, 2022. This is episode 515 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MainSTMagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. I know that planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times downright frustrating, especially when it comes to booking your dining reservations 60 days out. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. They have been an absolute lifesaver for our upcoming Christmas trip. You can visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. Then if you're getting ready to plan that next Disney or Universal vacation, looking to go on a cruise, or pretty much travel anywhere else in the world, head to mainstmagictravel.com and fill out a form for a free quote. Our travel services are completely free to you. Finally, we have room blocks. They are available for our second annual Main Street 16 Challenge Weekend, which is February 2nd to 5th, 2023. You can book at the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista Tower for 40% off the normal rate and a half-priced resort fee. If you go ahead and head to mainstreet16.com, you can learn more about the weekend, our Friday event at Stargazer Lounge. You can buy tickets for that, as well as check out the rooms and book today.
So today we are in a whirlwind of a podcast. It is all about our crazy weekend, I feel like. And it was super fun. But, you know, Jeremy went down on Wednesday. Then I joined him on Thursday. And then Rob and Tina came on Friday. And then I came home Saturday to work. So, yeah, we're going to get into all the weekend.
Yeah. And what's crazy about it is we got back Saturday morning, and it's so weird. Like sometimes we do these trips where, you know, we're normally like a Friday to Sunday, right?
Correct.
But sometimes we do something like a Thursday and Friday, and you get home and there's still an entire weekend left.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like we still had basically all of Saturday, even though you had to work a little bit. And then we have all day today, Sunday, as we are recording.
Correct.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pretty much just walk through our trip as it happened. And that started Wednesday with me driving down solo to attend the IAAPA Expo. If you're not familiar with IAAPA, and we talked about this, or I talked about this last year more so with Logan, Rhonda was not able to attend last year. Thankfully, she was this year.
Yeah.
But IAAPA is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions.
Yeah, and it was super cool because last year Jeremy got a media invite and he only got one day. This year we both got media invites and it was for the entire week. Now, this is my busy time of year. I was like, babe, I cannot come until Thursday. I can do Thursday, Friday, however long it lasts. And that's when he chose and decided to go down Wednesday. And then I came Thursday. So... and this is really cool. Yeah,
let's you know, here we'll cover first some of the costs of it. So this is basically, let's just discuss it. I had some notes, but let's just go for it.
Okay.
This is basically, if you love anything that has to do with theme parks, amusement parks, I mean, entertainment in general.
I was just going to say, I mean, a lot of the vendors too, I guess, is that what you would call them? The vendors, like, if you entertain, or if you are maybe trying to have a small company, basically, I mean, this is super, super cool. Or, you know, if you are part of a big office and, you know, once a year you do something like this. I mean, all these are super cool.
Well, okay, so let's start with this then. What were your expectations? What did you think this was?
I had no idea.
Okay.
None.
And okay, so then what did you think of it? Did you think you were walking into just seeing the biggest theme park names in the world and the way that they display things? Like, what did you What did
So-
you think of everything? Because what is it? Soup to nuts, right? That's the quote, or that's the saying, is soup to nuts.
Okay. I don't know
That's
what
like
that
the
means.
grand scheme of everything.
Okay.
This encompasses that, right?
Okay.
Like you said, you could be Disney or Universal,
Mhm.
Dollywood, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, any of these giant Six Flags. And this makes sense. What I think is so cool about it is you could be Adventure Landing down the road from
Right.
us near the outlets in St. Augustine.
That's true.
And you come to this because what are you going to see and what are you going to realize as an owner? Just say you're the owner of Adventure Landing here in St. Augustine or up in Jacksonville. Would you come to this and what would you possibly see
yeah.
and be looking for?
Well, I mean, there's tons of the arcade stuff inside that when you go into Adventure Landing and you can win toys and you can so many of those. There's anywhere from rides, like little carnival rides, to food type situations. It's overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
It's huge. So yeah, it's super funny because I don't know what I expected, but knowing Logan and knowing him with Sally and how he's explained things and the dark rides and stuff like that, I think I've pictured more of, I guess, yeah, like Disney and Universal and stuff that's not, I don't even know how really to explain
Well, here
it.
I remember walking with you when you came. And first of all, I think next year we're going to look at doing Thursday, Friday based on your schedule. I am a shell of a person there without you. I'm just kind of like holed up in myself and I'm just walking through looking at everything, but I'm not really like into it. And then when you came and we went Thursday, it was like almost like opening a whole new world because I had like my partner in crime and we're like walking through and you're the type that's going to run into the place that had the bubble wands.
Yes,
And
that
you're
was
gonna,
amazing.
But that's what I think is so interesting. You look in popcorn buckets, right?
Oh, that was super cool too because they literally had some that we have gotten from Disney World.
And
Super cool.
And you just don't think of that. And this is what I said last year about it. I was so impressed. We were walking at one point and I looked over and there's a booth that was part of the water park section because everything's
cool.
broken into sections. And I'm like, you know what? When I go to a water park, whether it's Blizzard Beach or Volcano Bay, or it's the Wet Wild and Water up in Surfside Beach where my parents live,
Okay.
I don't think about the fact that there is a company that has to provide lifeguard specific items such as the little floaties, their uniforms, their chairs, their umbrellas, their like fanny packs. And to see that there's companies that are doing that, that's what you can expect from IAAPA. And it's everything from the fact that there's a company that specifically sells flooring for an arcade or a place like Adventure Landing, all the way to Intamins, which is making some of the greatest roller coasters in the world, or a life-size, completely animatronic, unbelievable Grogu.
Oh, that was super cool.
It's just, I don't know, this thing blows my mind.
Yeah.
And there's an entire bounce house section. There's food sections. There's
that was
like,
cool.
we need to take the girls next year.
Yeah. My favorite was obviously the bubble wand area. That was so super cool. And it's neat because I saw a couple of them that I actually have bought from Universal. So I thought that was super cool. Oh my gosh, I almost wanted to buy one, but I didn't. But then what was even cooler is very near that was like snow machines and
How cool
fog.
are those? Yeah.
And this one fog, like literally I couldn't see my feet.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And then what's neat about this too is I'm assuming like it seemed like everything was for sale because people they were sold on them. Like the snow machine from this one snowman, which I thought was, I guess, quote unquote, the cheapest.
Reasonably priced at
Was like
$499.
Yeah, $400.
What do you think he was? 3-4 feet tall?
Something like that.
Like
I'm not kidding. If I would have had $400 just spare,
he'd be in our front yard right now.
he so would.
blowing snow. And we'd
We'd
have like
be
all the
blowing
kids in the
some snow.
neighborhood over.
Heck
and, like,
yeah. Loved it. Super cool.
How about Restaurant Row? Well, let me talk about this first. So I went Wednesday and I walked.
Mm-hmm.
So including, well, no, shoot, because I didn't go to the parks Wednesday. Well, I didn't go to the parks Wednesday. So I looked. I did 12 miles that day.
Wow.
12 miles.
Wow.
So I walked. Now, part of that came down to an Uber situation where I had to walk about a mile or two to find an Uber. But I walked what I thought the entire show floor. And then you and I went back the next day and we like turned a corner and I was like, what's this? What's this? And we found the kind of, I'll call it, I had found Restaurant Row.
Okay.
If you want to talk about some of that first,
and
then we'll talk about Drink Row.
I was going to go back to real quick on the Uber you were talking.
Oh, yeah.
Where was this in relation to anything and everything?
So 2.5 miles south. So we booked, I booked Wednesday and Thursday night. I stayed Wednesday night. You joined me Thursday night at Dockside Inn Suites at Universal Orlando Resort.
And how far was that?
2.5 miles.
Nice.
This was 2.5 miles south. This is at the Orange County Convention Center. I believe it is the second largest convention center in the United States. It is giant.
Mm-hmm.
This is North and South Concourse that this takes up, the entirety of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do not just put in West Concourse to your Uber driver to get there, because that explained another lot of my walk when I got dropped off there. But yeah, coming out on Uber the Wednesday night, I did not think about surge pricing.
Oh, goodness.
And it was 3 to 4 times the amount that I paid to get there from Dockside. So I ended up walking about a mile and a half. I went to the DoubleTree. I hung out in the lobby until I just watched the pricing go down, and I finally got it back. But anyway, talk
cool.
again down to like food, drink.
I started to say
vendors,
you didn't want to
all
go
that
ahead
good stuff.
And talk about the price of the kids and all this.
Yeah, so pricing.
And then we can talk about all that.
Wonderful. So pricing, you can be an IAAPA member. We are not.
Nope.
But for the professionals, that's going to be $169. That includes 4 days of the trade show floor access, their app, some educational conferences, special event tickets at discounted rates. For a student, it's only $50, which is insane.
Wow.
If you are not an IAAPA member, you're going to pay $299 for literally 4 full days of this trade show, or as a student, $100.
Nice.
There's lots of extra events. There's panels. There's all these industry leaders teaching you about things like everything. This is very much for the theme park and amusement park business professional owner, colleagues, workers, whatever. But I also think it is for a fan of all of these, just to see it. So you may not attend the panels,
would have loved it,
but you would love the show floor, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So how much would it be then for the kids next year? Would it?
I'll have to look based on the child pricing. I don't think that they might be considered student. I'm not 100% sure how that works.
And all these prices go up if you are there and buy it on site.
So definitely go ahead and order them like ahead of time online. All right, talk about samples.
I just started to say
because we went all out. Yeah, Restaurant Row, Drink Row, which I did not discover on Wednesday.
It was super cool. So Jeremy told me a couple of places they had some samples, like they had pizza, pretzels, and we start seeing like Dippin' Dots, like donuts, like candy, like I started to say it. Think of an amusement park, you name it, ices.
Yeah.
It's there. Churros, which these churros, why does Disney not take these?
And it's owned by Super Pretzel.
It's amazing.
They
were amazing.
They use Super Pretzel.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're using their churros for whatever reason. Either that or they're just hanging them up all day and they're so stale. But they were actually really good.
They were really good. They almost gave us a full small icy, which was crazy. Super cool. And donuts were great, and you could add whatever you want, and there's like different sugars to add onto it. Cotton candy that I didn't feel like was a sample cotton candy.
Yeah, it was bigger than my head.
Wow. So I ate all the sugars.
Yeah, we did.
And all the carbs. It was so good. Jeremy said when we were headed back, because we were going to our room and then we were going to record and then we were going to go back to Universal that night. And he's like, you need to fix your face. Like I had cotton candy like all over it, but it was so good.
It was really, really good.
And then we were walking around, and then there was like these samples of actual drinks, and I'm talking like an espresso martini drink, and Jeremy had an old fashioned, and there was White Claw, and there was, I believe, wine and stuff, but we didn't try that. But and then there's also this super cool like what's at Hyperspace Lounge on the Wish is the bubble that you put on the drink and it turns into smoke. Super cool. I also believe that where is it? Did they say in Disney?
At Oga's, I believe they use it as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and you got to do it. Like they let you come.
They
up
let
and,
me
like,
do it. I was like,
little
nuh-uh.
Bubble gun, and then you got the bonus bubble that you like blew into the air, and you pop it and smoke comes out.
Super cool.
It's just
Condiment Cal.
Talk about Condiment
weird.
Cal.
Jeremy made me do this.
Do you think this is a genius idea though?
It's super weird.
Yeah.
So you have this cow, and it has these 4 udders hanging down that literally look like udders. Yeah. And you squeeze it, and it comes out. And one was ranch, and it's just like coming out like in a cup.
Well, they have ranch, barbecue sauce, ketchup, and mustard.
Mustard and barbecue sauce. And she had carrots, so I was like, I got some ranch. And then I said, can I have some of the carrots, please? But Jeremy's like, go do it. And I'm like, I don't want, this is weird.
I think it is an absolutely genius setup. It is a very strange presentation. I will say, you know what I mean? Like the application is genius.
Well, I've never
presentation is odd because you're squeezing a cow's udder.
I've never milked a cow before in my life.
You haven't?
And as far as like places I've traveled, like, so my parents are moving out of their house that they have been in for 31 years. They have 31 years of my childhood, my brother's childhood, their memories, and they were giving all the stuff to me. And I'm going through it. And it's hysterical because like I was in Branson, Missouri. I was at Dollywood. We were in all out west
but never milked a cow.
I've rode horses. Never milked a cow.
Interesting.
I feel like that would have been the time.
I like Kaylin was like going through some of the stuff and she's just like, here's a horse. She's like, were you obsessed with horses? And you're like,
I loved horses.
I was. I was like, all girls I feel like in the 80s were obsessed with horses.
I mean, maybe
for
not,
the most part,
but
right?
I love horses. I would have loved to. I mean, Brittany and I both, like Jeremy's good friend and my childhood best friend, the one who introduced us. Literally, it's hysterical because she loved horses, and both of us, I think, growing up would have, if we could have had a, what do you call it, a farm and had horses and all kinds of stuff. Absolutely, we would have. Well, she got to live her dream. And she does. She has a cow. She has chickens. She has horses. And she's living her best life.
What do we see? And then I'll move on. But as we're already off track. We went to this little like Christmas like festival market thing this morning real quick with a bunch of craft vendors. And what was the one thing it said? It said it was about chickens, and it said my pet poops my breakfast.
Yeah.
It had a chicken on it.
It was very strange, but yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap up a little bit about IAAPA, but I really do highly suggest you check it out as a theme park, amusement park, whatever fan. I really, really want to take the kids next year. We were super, super thankful to be able to go as a media. And one of the things that got included that I'm so sorry Rhonda did not get to enjoy, but it was Wednesday night's Legends 2022 panel. They do this every year. I believe this was the 20th year of it.
Wow.
And this one was Epcot, 40 years in a state of becoming. And I was so thankful to get to attend this. This is one of the most sought after panels each year. And so this was going to explore all the tools, the lessons arising from the creation and continuing evolution of Epcot. And I'm reading this straight off their website. How has its core identity evolved, tried new things, and refreshed itself from Epcot, all caps, to Epcot with just a capital E, from idea-based intellectual property and beyond. So this is hosted every year by Bob Rogers, who is currently the founder and chairman of BRC Imagination Arts. Included was also Jody McLaughlin. She is the executive portfolio producer for Walt Disney Imagineering.
Wow.
It included Kartika Rodriguez, who is the vice president at Epcot currently.
Wow.
Rick Rothschild, who is the founder and CCO of Far Out Creative Direction, as well as the absolutely legendary Bob Weiss, who is now the global ambassador for Walt Disney Imagineering. And what was cool is you have this hour-and-a-half panel of these just legends talking about not only the creation of Epcot, but how it's evolved, where it's going, where it's been. Wow. One of the big things, couple notes that I wrote, and honestly, I wish I had taken more notes, because it's weird. There's a hard level between watching something like this and wanting to take it all in and experience everything, and then trying to take notes to report on it. And I was around several writers for the Orlando Sentinel.
Wow.
Lou Mangello was right there. And I'm almost watching them like, how do they take all of this in while also jotting down what they need to write for an article? Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of like, all right, I started and I'm typing on my phone, but then I'm like, I feel like I'm missing stuff. So I kind of just sat back and was like, I'm going to take this in. I'm going to enjoy it. Writers at the Sentinel are going to absolutely do justice to this complete thing. Like Katie Rice was next to me from the Sentinel, and I'm like kind of watching her, and she has one phone recording the entire thing. And then she's also like handwriting notes in a notepad. And I'm like, these people are the way that they can do this is just unbelievable. So, since it opened, Epcot has remained number 5 through 7 of the most attended theme parks in the world.
Wow.
Either 5, 6, 7 year after year. They're somewhere in that range, right? This is the largest growth project that is happening right now in the entire Epcot Park's history. When this park opened, not only when it originally opened, but every park that would almost come after it broke all the norms for Disney parks, what they would be, because it had no IPs, it had no thrill rides, it had no castle, and it originally started based completely on reality. Wow. This wasn't a fantasy park, right?
Right.
They talked a lot about Marty Sklar, and one of the greatest Imagineers of all time, like Walt's right-hand man. Aww. And at one point, Bob Weiss was telling this story that someone came up to him and they're like, all right, we're cleaning out Marty's area. And what do you want to do with all these boxes? And Bob Weiss was like, what boxes? They found the largest collection of Disney archive items ever.
Wow.
Over 2 million pieces.
2 million?
Million. This includes handwritten, hand-drawn plans,
goodness.
Everything from not only Marty, but all the other Imagineers.
Wow.
And they showed up and displayed on the big screens stuff that no one outside of Disney Imagineering has ever seen until that moment. So we got to see all of this stuff. It was incredible. It was so cool. What I was so impressed with is the VP, Kartika Rodriguez. There was a major questioning on where has Epcot been and where is it going? Because, everybody wants to talk, all right, IPs everywhere.
Right.
We're introducing IPs. Epcot is changing. It's not what Walt wanted. It's not this and that. Her answering and her responses, I was so blown away. This is one of the smartest people I've ever watched respond to questioning. I was just blown away by her. One of my favorite things she said is, well, first of all, she said, they're not worried about nostalgia. They're worried about legacy.
Okay.
And everything they do with these new lands, as long as it still sticks to the original legacy, is what they're focused on. It's not about nostalgia. Mm-hmm. It's not technically about what Epcot originally was or was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. It's just sticking to what Walt's original legacy was. And she was able to tie everything to it. And the one quote, and we can move on from here, was that she said, it was something along the lines of, she said, you don't always have to be the smartest person in the room. In fact, if you are, then you probably need to find more people for the room.
Wow.
And I was like, that is really cool. I was blown away by her.
That's awesome.
Now, Bob Weiss is just genius, and it was cool to hear from him. It was cool to hear from everybody else. It was neat to hear the stories of how Epcot was built and the way that it's changed and progressed. But she just absolutely blew my mind.
Wow.
Genius.
That's awesome.
Loved it. So we'll head out of there, and I'm going to touch on one more thing before Rhonda shows up. I was staying at Dockside. I was super hungry that night. I was debating. I was like, do I go to City Walk and, grab something to eat? And I was just like, I'm just worn out. Got a couple big days ahead of me. Rhonda's coming into town. Rob and Tina are coming. I'm like, I'm just going to hang in the room. So I went down to Pier 8 Market at Dockside. They do a wonderful job with their food courts at Universal. I think they're heads above some of the Disney food courts, especially at that level. And I got the fried chicken sandwich. It's a Korean fried chicken sandwich. Comes with pickles. Now, a lot of the foods here are pre-prepared. They're in their little clamshell container. They're ready to roll.
Right.
Might not have just been made. Might be good. Might be a little not. So I was like, well, could I get one without pickles? They're like, yep, we'll make you one to order. And literally, I swear, within 2 minutes, that thing was out. $11.51 after my pass holder discount.
Nice.
You saw the photo. It was a standard size bun, and it looked like an entire chicken as far as the fried chicken breast. It was really, really good.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Let's move on to Thursday morning.
Okay.
I met up with Logan Zawacki from Theme Park Shuffle, our friend at Sally Dark Rides, and we went ahead and did the Universal early entry. Headed right to Forbidden Journey. Well, we headed right to Hagrid's. It was a 105-minute wait. We decided not to do it, so we went to Forbidden Journey. That was a walk-on. We then went over to Mummy, which is exactly what Logan really, really wanted to do as a theme park junkie. They've reopened. Walk-on. Went to Men in Black. Walk-on. We then went to E.T. This was a walk-on. It's now 10 a.m. What was really cool is we're halfway through, and Logan looks at me. He goes, Sally Dark Ride made some of these animatronics.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, what?
That's
and when we got off, I was like, do you know which ones? Like, was it just set pieces, animatronics, like both? And he's like, I'm not sure. I'll have to ask the big boss man. So maybe I can get an update from him. But you then joined.
Well, you went to mobile order and y'all walked on and everything. And poor Logan mobile ordered and it took 30 minutes.
Yeah, at Today Cafe. So we had already walked past the different Starbucks. We were looking for a coffee. Logan wanted something to eat. And we were like, these lines are ridiculous. So finally, I'm like, you know what? We're done. Today Cafe. We're waiting on Rhonda. I'm like, I've heard great things about this place. So we walk in. Line is 20 deep. And he goes, let me see if I can mobile order. So he mobile orders a latte and an overnight oats. I'm like, this can't take long. 30 minutes in.
That's crazy.
Somebody comes up and they're like, Logan? He's like, yeah. And they go, did you get your overnight oats? And he's like, no. And they're like, yeah, it's right over there in the refrigeration section. You're like, okay. And then he finally got his latte and then we met up with you.
Yay.
Let's move on to the 5:30 Macy's Day Parade. Because, by the way, this giant gap is when you and I went to IAAPA together. So.
I'm like, we're not going to talk about, we went to the tribute store. And
talk about the tribute store.
Cute snowflake headband that looked like Mickey ears, which is super cute. And then we got the gingerbread cookies, and in between those were just kind of like caramel coochie, and it was actually, this one was
marshmallow fluff.
Thank you. Marshmallow, a marshmallow cream with some red and green sprinkles. This was fantastic.
How would you compare it over to
the
caramel couche?
It was a little around the edges when you first started to bite in. It was not as soft, but it's still, the flavors were spot on. They were fantastic. You get a couple bites in, and then cookie is soft and just fantastic. In fact, Lacey ate the rest of it.
She did. What is the center over at Caramel Couche?
I'm not
sure. I'm going to keep saying Couche, by the way.
Okay.
But isn't it more of, I feel like it's more of it's more of like a
vanilla,
buttercream vanilla. And then again, the marshmallow fluff. Which do you prefer?
I really
filling wise, not cookie wise. The cookie is definitely better over Caramel Couche.
Oh yeah.
But what do you think about filling wise?
I like this filling.
You did? Okay.
I take either one.
All
I
right.
love them both.
Yeah. I agree.
And I literally almost got another one, by the way. I never told
Oh,
you.
really?
I almost bought another one to take home. It was so good.
Yeah.
That gingerbread cookie is just, it's so good.
Maybe this should be December's Anyone Can Cook for Wonderland Crew is we make one of these. That could be good, right? A gingerbread cookie? We've never done a gingerbread cookie.
No,
We've done
okay.
gingerbread, but
Okay. You gotta
yeah.
look that stuff up, man.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
No, we can totally do that. So in between was you and I then going to IAAPA. I know we're a little bit out of sorts here in timeline.
And we recorded, and then we were coming back because our fast pass, our express pass kicks in at 4. So that's when we decided to go over there. Well, little did we know there was an extra paid event, and the parks were closing at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
But there was a 5:30 parade. So we actually just sat down, not in front of a trash can. Do not sit in front of a trash can.
Yeah, right?
At Universal. They will make you move. But you can be in front of a light post.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat down in front of this light post, and we had a great viewing, and we watched the Macy's Day Parade, and Macy's Parade, and it was amazing. When Santa came around the corner, he lit up the giant tree.
Oh, so good.
And it was so amazing. And then, of course, it was snowing, and then there was some just regular white confetti. So the parks were closing, and we're like, all right, well, we need to eat. So let's just go out to City Walk to eat. And I kept going, all right, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? I don't care. So then
it was that standard husband-wife.
It
like,
was.
I'll go wherever you want to go. I'll go wherever you want to go. And then
I
you
was
each mention
thinking
something. You're like,
Mexican, just because of maybe cheaper, basically. But Jeremy starts thinking like content for everybody. And so I'm like, that's fine. Just pick. So we went ahead and picked Pat O'Brien's, which is like a New Orleans style place. So we go, and I was so happy we actually picked this. We go, and it was really cold outside.
For us.
Like, for us, being Florida, like, I had leggings.
We're low 60s at this point, right?
Oh, I think lower than that.
Lower?
I think low.
Got into the
I think
50s?
high 50s.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a long sleeve and a sweatshirt on, leggings, and my Ugg boots, and a hat, because I did buy a Grinch hat. And yeah, it's still kind of cold, a little bit. So it was super cool because we go up there, and she's like, is outside okay? And from seeing the outside, it was gorgeous. Yeah. Very romantic looking. So I was like, I'd love that as long as I can sit by a heater. And I could see they had the heaters going. And so she's like, all right, and puts us at this table. And it was just so beautiful and
really
like
was.
Romantic and just so nice. So we sat outside and we got a few things to eat.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about them?
I would, yeah. And I'll say, you perfectly set up the setting of this area. It's great because you walk in and it's this, on the left is a bar area, huge bar area. On the right is a piano bar area with seating. And then you go out back. Yeah. And then you go out back and it is this wonderful outdoor setting, but you're surrounded.
But you are outdoors.
Yes. But I joke. So I'm like, are we really outdoors? Because if you go back to our Bob Marley thing, we were inside at Bob Marley, but you remember it was the open air where I didn't realize it was truly outside.
Yeah.
And this was the same way. So I was joking. I'm looking up. I'm like, are we outside? But
we really were.
Yeah, the heaters were perfect. It felt so good.
Yep.
Melina was our waitress. She was great. So we started with the crab beignets. These are $13.95. This has crab, obviously, mascarpone cheese, powdered sugar, and a tarragon aioli. I'm super picky about crab items. Everybody knows this. I'm a snooty Maryland boy. We had those crab beignets in New Orleans at that carousel bar. I wasn't super impressed with them. These knocked it out of the frickin' park. These were so good. And what I like is that it truly was a crab beignet. It wasn't like it was something trying to be a crab cake, but then it calls it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I didn't want it to be a crab cake. I wanted it to be a crab beignet, and that's exactly what it was. I did not try the tarragon aioli. I didn't think it needed it. You did try it. Did you think that added to it?
Oh,
Did
I
you try
loved
both
it.
ways? Okay.
I tried it both ways, but I just kind of love that kind of stuff. So I just I only tried it like once or twice without it, but I dipped it in every time.
These were so good. Super crab flavored in a good way.
Oh yeah. You
then-
literally pulled out a piece of
a little piece of shell.
and I was
Which
like,
is
that
funny
makes you
because
so happy,
It
doesn't
does.
it? And
like,
you were like,
I actually appreciate it because I know that this is legit. This isn't
Right.
sort of imitation. This isn't whatever.
Right.
This is legit crab.
right.
From there, we were like, all right, they got gumbo. We're in a New Orleans style restaurant. We got to get the Mardi Gras gumbo. This is $6.95, rich with New Orleans flavors, topped with white rice and shrimp. What did you think of this?
Oh, this was fantastic.
It was really good.
So warm in my belly because it's
We needed it.
yeah, it
And
was
heavy
cold
and thick.
and it was just so good. Like I was kind of wanting a soup. And then it was a great spice, not too spicy, not where you're like your nose is running and
Right.
you're like needing to drink water every 5 seconds, but just super good.
Yeah.
Super good.
Loved it. The shrimp, when you're looking at something in a gumbo, we're not going to bring up any other places. You're not expecting big, giant shrimp.
Yep.
These were the perfect bite-sized shrimp for a gumbo.
Yep.
And they were cooked absolutely to perfection. So then Melina comes around. She's like, are we ready for entrees? And we're like, we're kind of full.
We were like gonna head back to the hotel,
Yeah.
and Jeremy said, because you ate there the night before,
Mhm.
you're like, there's so many options. Do you want to just go? And then I was almost thinking of getting an entree and then just taking a few bites and then taking it back to our room. But then he's like, we don't have a microwave, and so I was like, all right, let's just go ahead and get this.
And Melina is this is what makes a great waiter or waitress.
Uh-huh. She starts. Oh, I thought you were gonna say.
I was going to let you go.
So she ends up saying something about that and then saying, oh, well, like something about desserts are the best. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what's your dessert? And she was like, we have a bread pudding. I'm like,
Sold.
son of a gun. So I'm like, well, what
if you
kind
guys
of...
don't know this about Rhonda, all right. Okay, if we go somewhere and on the menu is duck, I'm going to get it. If we go somewhere and shrimp and grits is on the menu, you're going to get it.
Yep.
If we are both somewhere and bread pudding is on the menu, we 100% want to try it.
Right. So I was like, what kind of bread pudding? This is $7.95. And she's like, it's just warm bread pudding. But she said there's maple pecan ice cream, pralines, and dulce leche, which is caramel.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness. I was like, yes, please. And holy moly. It is possibly literally the best bread pudding I've ever had.
I'll agree.
I think because, and she even said, just kind of walking away, she's like, there's no raisins.
Yeah.
I like raisins in my oatmeal cookies. I like raisins, period. But I think she was right. Like the bread, it was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was super good.
Outstanding.
And, like it by itself was fantastic. Taking a piece of a little bit of the maple pecan ice cream and then having that crunch of the pralines and then the caramel. I mean, this thing, I'm not kidding, was fantastic. Like the next time we're at Universal, which is Christmas, we may have to stop in here
for
to
this.
see if the girls would like this too.
Yeah. And they
so
also
good.
do have beignets for dessert.
They do.
So we could get both, maybe just
We
stop
could.
in strictly for desserts
Yep.
would be a lot of fun.
And they did have a shrimp and grits on the menu,
Mm-hmm.
which we did not get, like I said, because we were just trying to figure out what we were going to do. And I just didn't want to we couldn't warm it up. And so, yeah.
But have no fear. Shrimp and grits are coming up very soon on this very special episode of Main Street Magic. So we got back to the room and it was an early night, which was probably much needed. First of all, I got to say, Universal buses, I know this is a much smaller property. I know it's a much smaller operating system, but Universal buses are unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't think of a time we have ever had an issue with Universal buses. They always seem to be right on point, right on time, exactly when we need them, whether we're at the resort, we're at a park, wherever we are. I am so super impressed with them that I'm blown away.
grateful for them.
Oh, I'm so grateful for them. So we're back in the room. We're hanging out. We're watching Hallmark movies, of course.
Woohoo!
And we're at Dockside, which we've talked about plenty times before. We absolutely love it here. I mean, price per night, I believe all in at this point was $97 outside of parking. Just, you cannot beat that. So
No, you cannot at all.
I was already like, look, I've been here for 2 days. I've eaten all the carbs. Why don't I just load up and destroy myself? And I kind of want some pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So I headed down to Pier 8 Market, and I'm like, all right, I'll just get a personal pizza or so for Rhonda and I to like split, because you said you wanted like a bite or two. And I was like, I could
didn't
have
care.
some.
Again, I knew you were going down, and I was like, look, whatever content is needed, that's fine. Go ahead.
So I go down, and their personal pizzas are 10 inches. And for example, a pepperoni is $13.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of looking, and they have some other options. They have like a meat lovers a little bit more. I think they have a veggie one. It's a little bit more. But I'm like, they didn't have anything completely ready at the moment. And I'm like, well, there's a kid's pepperoni pizza that's a 7-inch for $7. And I only bring this up because this is kind of one of those dollar store Lentesta type of deals where I said, you know what? It'd be better if I got 2 7-inch kids pepperoni pizzas, which in theory equals 14 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And that would cost me a total of $14 before my AP discount. Then one 10-inch $13 pizza.
Correct. Good job.
So
babe.
that's what I did.
Good job.
And so in the end, one of the pizzas completely went to waste because you ate about a slice.
I don't know. Rob
out of
could have
4.
eaten it.
You think Rob ate it?
I don't
We
know.
took it with us.
We did.
But
Everywhere.
just one of those things. I actually really, really enjoy their quick service pizza at Universal. Much more so than
Very
Disney.
carb loaded.
Yeah.
Very fluffy crust and
To me, like, I think of Disney's quick service pizza as DiGiorno, which is, for me, there's nothing wrong with that.
right.
This to me is a better DiGiorno. I think it is a flakier crust. It's a softer crust. So I do really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So on Friday morning, we're like, all right, quote unquote, work is done.
Yay.
IAAPA, we're not going to head back to IAAPA on Friday. You know, we covered what we wanted to cover. Rob and Tina were coming down, and they had some scheduling conflicts that basically they had a room at Royal Pacific. They said, do you guys want to come stay with us? Let's pick a night.
Yeah.
We said, this is the date that would work for us. And they're like, cool. We would get all day express pass, unlimited, both the day we check in and the day we check out.
Right.
And so why don't you talk a little bit, Rhonda, about Royal Pacific? Now, we have visited here. Kat and Michael stayed here one time, and we went over and we've seen the place. We had eaten at Jake's American Bar, but we had never actually stayed in a room or stayed at the resort. What do you think about this, and how do you think it compares to the other 2 legacy hotels as far as Hard Rock and Portofino?
Well, so this was great. I love walking in, the smells. The room was fine, very standardish to me. The walk was a 10-minute walk, and that was great. And then, of course, you get your unlimited express pass, which is huge.
The game changer.
If you were like, okay, Rhonda, out of the 3 legacy hotels, which is Royal Pacific, Portofino, and Hard Rock.
Are you going to talk pricing aside?
Pricing aside,
Okay.
I would totally pick Portofino over both of these anytime.
Agreed.
I do like Hard Rock, and when Rita and I stayed, it was great. But again, you're in the parks and stuff like that. So now, pricing, where I'm thinking, all right, price-wise, I don't care where I stay, I'm going to pick the cheapest one. Now, There's been places where I think the time that Rita and I went, it was actually cheaper to stay at Hard Rock than it was Portofino.
Okay.
So I think it just depends on the time of year, and I think it just depends on everything. But I would probably try to pick the cheapest legacy hotel to stay in for the unlimited express pass.
Yeah.
That day we were there, we walked in, and I walked right up to the express pass and said, yes, how much is it for an express pass? And she said, 1 to 2 parks. I said 2. And I said, unlimited, please. She said, $212 a person.
Yeah.
$212 a person.
There were 4 of us.
There was. So if we had the girls,
$848 a day.
Extra.
Yeah. And that would be
Extra.
on top of your AP, your park tickets, if you had to get regular park tickets. If you stayed at one of the non-legacy resorts, you're already paying for that
Right.
room. And check-in day and check-out
I
day.
just started to say, now, that's something huge.
You're now at over almost
We-
$1,700
Yeah.
for 2 days.
We literally checked in that morning around, I think it was like 9 or so.
Mm-hmm.
We got our passes, and then literally, like, we had those passes all that day and all Saturday, technically, until it closes. And you can keep your car parked until midnight.
Yeah.
So all that is huge when taking in, like, this all consideration.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's funny, I was messaging Aaron earlier, and he's got family coming into town, and they're going to all be doing Disney, but they're doing one day at Universal. He's tempted to book a night, and we've said this before.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
tempted to book a night at Royal Pacific and not even stay there because it beats the cost
100%.
of actually paying for
Right.
Express Pass for the day.
Yep.
And so I do really like this resort. This is Universal's version of Polynesian. And I said to you, and again, I think you felt it was kind of accurate. Polynesian Village Resort at Disney, to me, not having been to the Polynesian or Hawaii or anything like that, it feels like Hawaii in the 80s.
Okay.
Royal Pacific feels like a resort that was built in Hawaii in the 2000s, more present day.
Okay.
So it has a lot
get
of these touches of that
Mhm.
Polynesian culture, Hawaiian culture, but a much more modern feel.
Okay.
Do you think that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, I could probably say yes. to
Yeah.
that. Sure.
Room is good. Room is spacious. You know, you got your 2 queen beds.
Right. Room
It's-
is fine.
yeah.
It's very standard in my opinion. Like, there's not, like, to me, almost extra.
Yeah.
There were 2 sinks,
Mm-hmm.
nice shower.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I think cost wise, this is normally going to be the place you're going to want to book as far as having the least expensive room for a legacy hotel. So we're not going to run through every single ride, but with unlimited Express Pass, because I do want you to understand this
With unlimited,
value.
you can ride, if you get off of Gringotts, Escape to Gringotts, and you're like, that was fantastic, I want to do it again. You can
it
get
again.
right back in
Yep.
line with your Express Pass.
Yeah.
If you, like, for us, if you have the Premier like we have, and your Express Pass kicks in after 4, you only get 1 ride.
Yeah.
So if you get off of Mummy and you're like, that was amazing, I want to do it again, nope, you're not allowed.
Right. This was an absolute game changer that day because
Yeah, it
we
was.
were really looking at kind of hitting the attractions hard, you know, like
Mhm.
we really wanted to ride stuff. So here's what it came down to. I tracked every ride. We did a dozen rides.
Okay.
Now that included Mummy twice,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe for you and I, Gringotts twice, because
Mhm.
we rode it once before Rob and Tina met up with us.
Yes.
So 10 attractions, a dozen rides. I included Velocicoaster in the data, even though I know it doesn't take Express Pass, but I just want to include it.
That's never a long wait, which is super
No.
nice. And I say never a long wait. I mean, if it says 45 to 60 or so, or even longer than that, you're still usually waiting maybe 45.
You think 10 or 15 minutes less than
Yeah.
posted usually?
Yep.
So our estimated wait time during the day would have been 335 minutes based on the posted wait times. Right?
Okay.
Using Express Pass, our actual wait time for all of those attractions, Velocicoaster included, was 112 minutes.
Wow.
So that is a time saved of 223 minutes, which equals 3.71 hours.
Wow.
Now, is that worth it in your mind if you had paid $848 amongst the 4 of us?
No.
Agreed.
Not at all.
Is it worth it to pay under $500 to stay at Royal Pacific?
Yes.
Agreed.
100%.
Okay. So let's just say you're a family. And again, I know, we're trying to look at this from the view of a family that goes once a year or their first trip, whatever. not pass holders who are very fortunate to go, like, because it's one of those things. We can still go and say, oh, Gringotts is 45 minutes. I don't want to wait. Stand by. We'll come another time. Like,
right.
I'm looking at this. We both are from a different lens. So
Right.
You're a family. You're coming in. And, okay, for example, December 22nd. Let's pretend we're not annual pass holders. We're going down. We're taking the girls right before our Disney Christmas trip. We're paying right now $110 all in for Dockside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No unlimited express pass.
Mm-mm.
It'll kick in after 4 for us, but let's say we were buying day tickets. We're paying, I don't know, for the 4 of us, let's just say it comes out to $650 for park hopper day tickets, 2 park day tickets. Would you rather then pay $110 for a room at Dockside and then an additional $800 for express pass?
No.
Or would you rather pay $500-$600 for a room at Royal Pacific?
Pay that.
Yeah. Agree
Crazy.
completely.
It was crazy
Agree.
to me.
So just something we wanted to cover. I mean, again, we can get down, and the wait times weren't horrible that day. Crazy part is, out of every ride we did that day, the longest posted wait time was Kong at 70 minutes. And we actually waited 24 using Express Pass.
That's funny.
But things like, we got down to the end of the day at 2 p.m. Dr. Doom was only posted at 5 minutes. We walked on. It took 3. Hulk at 2:09 was 15 minutes. We walked on in 3. We took a break, though, in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to NBC Sports Grill and Brew.
Yeah.
We have 2 more things to talk about, including this. That's going to be NBC and Jake's American Bar. So let's finish off the rest of this episode with some food. What did we have at NBC? Where did we sit? What
We
did you
sat
think
at the
about
bar.
Because we actually really, really enjoy this spot.
Yeah, and we kind of like wanted some snacks because
Yeah.
we knew we were planning to pretty much go eat dinner somewhere else. So we had a large, warm, soft pretzel that was $13.95. It's lightly salted. It's got jalapeno queso and ballpark mustard. I tried both of those and they were fantastic.
Mhm.
Fantastic. The pretzel was fantastic. Such a great, large, warm,
Yeah.
yummy, soft pretzel.
Your Bavarian pretzel, like you
Yeah.
get over in Germany,
Yep.
you get, I think they actually, well, here's the thing I didn't realize. They're made by Super Pretzel.
Mhm.
Because we saw them at
Yep.
IAAPA.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Ah.
I knew like the Mickey pretzels and the standard pretzels and Universals were. I didn't realize these were.
Okay. Well,
So you enjoyed
now
this?
You do.
Yeah, I do know now.
Yeah, and so Cajun fried deviled eggs were on the menu for $11.95, and I was like, you know what? I think I want this. I was thinking, would you eat one? You were like, I might. It depends. So this is Cajun breaded and fried pork belly, Louisiana hot sauce, and green onion aioli. I thought they were good. I think threw me off that they were fried.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It was like I'd eat one and I'm like, I kind of want another one.
Yeah.
So I'd ate another one. But I don't know. Like I love deviled eggs. It was just funny. I don't know.
If I
Would
tried,
get it
I tried
again?
one.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I tried one. Of course, I had you try it first because I know that there can be a lot of
Mhm.
mustard in the filling, and I don't like mustard. If you were looking for a deviled egg, this is not it.
Yeah.
This is a very different concoction.
Yeah.
I really enjoy. To me, this was almost like a mashup of a deviled egg and a Scottish egg. But
That makes sense.
you have no sausage, of course.
Correct.
I thought that the
There was
egg
some pork belly,
portion,
apparently.
yeah. I think it was like a tiny little
Yeah.
dot of pork belly that was like within the topping part.
I have no idea.
If you the egg was perfectly done and fried well. It had very little filling, right? Like the aioli. Like, so normally I feel like a deviled egg is almost like, it can be like, look at Art Smith's Homecoming. It's 50% egg, it's 50% of like the yolk whipped filling, right?
Right.
This was like 85% fried egg and like 15% of the little filling.
Mm-hmm.
But I did actually enjoy the flavors, but I'm with you. I wouldn't be like, I got to go back here for this.
Right.
But I didn't not like it.
Right.
So
100%.
what did we like? At least
Well,
I know this
yes.
was amazing.
This was. So we got the crispy calamari for $12.95. It's smoked tomato and lemon aioli sauces. And I mean, it is your standard, in my opinion, great crispy calamari.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rings, only a few tentacles. Jeremy ate all the tentacles. The lemon aioli sauces were fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a great dish. Would I come back here again for this? Absolutely.
100%. 100%. There we moved on and we did go back and do some more rides, including back to back on the Mummy. So I rode the Mummy 3 times during this trip. I love the Mummy.
Yeah, it's fun.
I cannot figure out, and I was glad that Logan was there to explain some things. I cannot figure out a single change. Other than that, all of the mummies pop up in that initial scene on each side. But he basically said this was probably a major overhaul in maintenance and things like repainting and making sure that every teeny little detail works as opposed to an actual, refurbishment change.
Right.
It is much more of a maintenance project. But I still love it. It was funny. We're getting on the first time. I was getting on with Logan and he's like, I heard it's so much smoother. And I was like, meh.
Yeah.
And then we got off and he was like, my back hurts. Like you were right. That did not change.
Yeah.
All right, let's close out the night as we went back to Royal Pacific and we were ready for a dinner. We were originally going to go to Bistro 17 up at Adventura and we were just like, it's going to be easier.
Late.
Yeah.
We got in the room and they're like, let's just go down to Jake's American Bar.
We love this spot.
Yeah. We went here with the Cat and Michael.
Yes. What all did we get here? Do you want to? Let's start with what Rob ordered.
I'm so jealous. Rob ordered the crawfish chowder for $8. It's tender crawfish tails in a creamy broth. And that is exactly what it was. And it was fantastic. Literally, we just kept passing the bowl around. It was hysterical.
Yeah.
He'd take a few bites. He'd pass it to Tina. Tina take a few bites. She'd pass it to me. And we just kept going around until it was almost empty. But on the menu, they had grits and they had shrimp.
Let me finalize the crawfish chowder. Where would you rate this with a lot? Because I know we're like, this did not come in a coffee cup, but
I almost got one to go by the way.
We should have.
It was so good.
I know we really are lobster bisque people.
This was so good.
Would you put this over any of the lobster bisques that we've had over at Disney?
Yeah.
Will you put this on top of your soup game?
100%.
Okay.
100% because I've always said that to me, crawfish are like tiny lobsters.
Tiny lobsters.
So it was fantastic.
The original name when Jake opened was Tiny Lobster Chowder. It could be.
Okay.
All right, move on to your custom-made order.
Well, they had shrimp and then they had grits. So I was like, why can't we just put that together?
I love you.
So the waiter comes around and I'm like, can I get some grits? And then can you put some shrimp on top, basically? And he's like, yeah, because there was an actual shrimp mac and cheese. And I was like, yeah, sure. Just take those shrimp,
put them on some grits.
Grill them, whatever. Just cook them and then put them on the grits. So he's like, he still looked at me like, okay, lady. So he goes away. The chef comes out and he's like, who's my shrimp and grits person?
That was super impressive.
It was.
Really was.
And so, of course, I raised my hand and he's like, what do you, and I'm like, I mean, I don't care. And so at this point, like, he's the chef. So I'm like, yeah, you do you. Like, you should know how to, I mean, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking you're the chef. You should know how to throw something together. So he's like, okay. He's like, I got you. And he was like, you like barbecue sauce? And I'm like, yeah. And he said something about an Atlanta style shrimp and grits. And I'm like, and I kind of turned my nose up a little bit about it because as when we were talking after all of this, spoiler alert, that is what I got. But from Florida my entire life, when I think of barbecue sauce, I think of like pulled pork, chicken. Like I think of
ribs,
that kind of like.
You're thinking of smoked meats.
I do. I don't think of like grits and shrimp and stuff. So, but he explained it, and I said, you know what? Just do that. I don't dislike barbecue sauce,
Right.
so I was like, oh, I'll do it. And he's like, all right, I got you. So he not only came out and did that, he literally brought me the dish himself.
I was so blown away.
It was. And then it was super cool because he sat it down and I was like, well, it's super pretty.
It really was. A huge portion. Holy moly.
It was.
That was a lot of food.
It was. It was really differently good.
Yeah.
Would I order that again? No.
Yeah.
Was it gross? No, I ate most of it. Like even Rob and Tina were like, you don't like it. I'm like, no, it's not that I don't like it. It is just a different taste. Here's the problem. I tasted the crawfish chowder after the chef came out and talked about all that. Had I would have been like, no, just take some of that crawfish chowder and throw it over top of that grits and the shrimp. Boom, that'd have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But in fact, Rob saved a few bites for me that I could mix it together, and I tried to get some, and seriously, that would have been
good.
That would have been where I'd have been like, this needs to go on the menu right here.
Oh,
because it was just all that seafood and stuff. It was just fantastic.
Yeah.
But again, it was not bad. It was just different.
I agree. The grits were very perfectly done.
Mm-hmm.
The shrimp were big and perfectly cooked.
Yep.
I agree. I just didn't feel that the barbecue sauce went with those two items.
And it did not go. It just was just different.
Yeah, it was different.
I mean, I think you think the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you think of a
I
barbecue
agree with
sauce.
you. No, I agree with you completely. I love barbecue sauce. I want it on smoked meats. I don't specifically want it in shrimp and grits.
Right.
So, but something to note, but I just was so blown away and super impressed. Honestly, he could have brought you out hot garbage and I would have still been like, that's really impressive that you still tried to craft something, because there's a lot of places right now you can go to a restaurant and they're literally stating, we cannot make changes. They're either short staffed. They don't have the items. Things have to be pre-prepared to save time. So the fact that he went and custom made you something that you crafted in your own brain and then he put together, I just thought was incredible.
How crafted? There was literal side.
Well, I know, but I'm saying,
and there's shrimp mac and cheese.
But so I got the prosciutto and goat cheese flatbread, right?
$15.
If I had said, you got mac and cheese, you got prosciutto, I want prosciutto mac and cheese.
He probably would have done that.
He probably would have made it. So this is a flatbread. It was $15. Arugula, roasted tomato, pesto, and balsamic glaze. This was absolutely delicious.
Well, there's a lot of arugula, but
it was a lot of arugula. But it was really good. Really good dough and crust, pizza crust.
Prosciutto did seem to get lost. I'm not going to lie.
I agree with that.
But it was still a fantastic pizza, or flatbread, shall I say.
Yeah.
But if you were really wanting that punch and saltiness of prosciutto, you would be disappointed.
Yeah. I think it's one of those.
Just note.
No, you're perfectly like on spot with that, because I think if I had said, give me something, and they put that down and I took a bite and they said, explain what's in this,
you would have never.
Prosciutto would have been way in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I would have just said, like, there's some sort of meat. I don't know. Is it ham? Is it?
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Rob had the vegetable flatbread, which included tomato sauce, squash, spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, and Aleppo peppers. Enjoyed that very much. And then Tina just got a cheese pizza, which had mozzarella cheese and marinara, of course. And this is vegetarian. And then I totally forgot to note it, but we got that dessert. There was the s'mores dessert, correct?
S'mores dessert.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
That was really good and beautiful.
It was almost like a cheesecakey taste or texture. That's what I was trying to say. It's fantastic.
This was such a fun, crazy trip.
Then we came home on Saturday.
Yeah.
Jeremy and I drove behind each other, which I was very grateful and thankful, because I got Sylvia's oil changed on Wednesday when I worked. And they said that the tires on her are so old that the tread was fine. It was possibly the inside with heating up and cooling down and heating up. So I was very nervous driving by myself. And praise God in heaven, he took me safely. And then on our way back, same thing. And we were going to get them replaced this week. But with that being said, I had to get to work to do a couple of people. And then straight from work, we came home to my really good friend across the street's 50th birthday.
Happy birthday, Claire.
Yes, happy birthday. And then, we stayed there. And then today, my parents are moving and I have nowhere else to put people. So when I don't, I just find time to do them. And I found time today after church to do them. And now we are recording, and then we're going to eat dinner and hopefully watch some Hallmark and
Dude,
go
Thanksgiving
to bed.
is Thursday.
And then,
How is that even possible?
I work 3 12-hour days and I wake up and then it's
You're a rock star.
Thanksgiving.
You're a rock star.
Literally. It's crazy.
And then Saturday, we're going to go to Disney to check out International Festival of the Holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be super fun. But so we have a lot of that, a lot of great content still coming up. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Rhonda, for joining me as always. It is good to have you back.
Thanks.
I know it's been a little here and there lately. I'm going to have my brother here for the next episode to finally talk about Wine and Dine Weekend and his first Run Disney event.
Okay.
And then, we got a lot of cool trips coming up throughout the year. And then we get into 2023. Holy moly.
And my
It's almost
daughter
December.
will be 15 and she will be driving.
She has finished her online
we
driving
have
course.
to print that.
Oh, okay. Let's make sure we print that. And we got to
Mhm.
order your tires. Now we're just having a conversation about our daily life. But thank you, everyone, so much for listening. We truly appreciate you. If you've not done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You're going to get these brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And you know that Rhonda and I would be very, very thankful if you leave us a rating and review.
Because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.